Hey, Darren, how's it going?
Hey, Jim, doing great, thanks.
So I'm sure I'm sure in the political scheme, uh, you've got your mind made up of who you might be voting for by this time, if you're voting at all. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah, I'm sure most people do. They're considering this to be a huge turning point in the history of our country in terms of the election and where we go from after November 6th
Didn't they say that last time though?
for Biden and Trump.
Yeah, didn't they say this is the turn of we got to get this because this is the last time for to save the country? Don't they say that just every year? There's a
You mean
Democrat in
every
there.
election?
Every election, yeah.
Well, if you look at it last year, 4 years ago, we definitely took a turn for the worse. I got to say it. So,
Yeah, I guess it did come to pass, but here's the thing is, do you think the debate changed anybody's mind?
well, in a sense, yeah, because it shows that ABC is biased towards
Right,
the
right.
Democratic left wing, uh, ideology.
But do you think it changed anybody's decision? Like, oh, gee, Trump presented himself pretty good. I think I'm gonna go for him, or oh, Camilla looks like, oh, she had a lot of presence. I think I'm gonna vote. Do you, if they were
Oh,
voting for Trump before, do you think it changed anybody's mind?
well, the percentage of fence sitters, I think, is at maybe like 10%.
All
Um,
right, so maybe it changed some of them.
Possibly,
So they went over to Camilla, right? Because her representation was better, from what I
well,
understand.
she
I
had a
didn't see the
better
whole thing.
she had a better fake smile and a
Right.
dumber laugh and
And better fake answers.
better, yeah, fake answers and lies. Fake answers that are already readily available, given to her by ABC. So, which
Well,
ABC will now be guilty of election interference, which is
they did it last time. Do they
I know,
always
I
do
know.
it? When the Democrats, all right. So people say the Democrats run the media are Democrat. The media are not Democrat.
No.
The media are biased. They are run by Democrats, perhaps, but basically the Democrats are run by globalists,
Hmm.
and some of them are capitalists.
Hmm.
So it's not all capitalist versus socialist,
Oh, I know
but
that. Come on.
but they run it like the media sides with the powers that be, and their CEOs are globalists. So they tell them, warn them, side with this and make this look. And the reason why they do it with the Democrats is because, first of all, Democrats have a majority. I guarantee if Republicans were stronger and they had a majority, they would just work through Republicans.
That's right.
And that
Buy
would
them
be the
out,
party.
blackmail them. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's something.
that would be the party that the media would support because it's who they're paid to support. They're all
Hmm.
basically paid journalists. They're propagandists, so they're going to do whatever the establishment wants them to do. But it's not that way. It's usually Democrats they support because these global societies, the New World Order, doesn't want conservatism. We know that it doesn't want Christianity unless it can control it and infiltrate it, like Illuminati did. But what they want is they want a globalist collectivism, and basically the Democratic Party is what stands for that. The Republican Party is supposedly stands for lesser state, but that's not how it is. I'm going to
Right.
blow the lid off of this left-right paradigm,
Hmm.
political paradigm tonight
Hmm.
with some of my information. But saying that, um, generally speaking, if you're conservative or Christian, you're likely not going to vote Democrat or Kamala.
Oh, it
That's
stands to
just how
reason.
it
Yeah.
works. So
Right.
you know that the conservatives, that the right have on their side, automatically they have conservatives and they have Christians. Because for the most part, I know some Christians that are voting Democrat, but most of them are either not aware of what socialism is, or they just basically are in a certain community that they've always known to be Democrat or whatever. But for the most part, the Baptists, the Charismatics, the Pentecostals, whatever group you're talking about, usually have Trump signs up, or the Republican side, I should say. But this time for this, of course, they have the Trump side. But what I don't like is they politicize it where Trump is actually perceived as a Messiah-like character. They got memes about him with the angels holding their hands on his shoulder, and they say he's the Christian candidate. He's God's candidate. He's God's chosen one. I'm not criticizing people for voting for Trump or wanting for Trump or rooting Trump on. That's fine. It's a pep rally. This is what it's all about. I'm not against that. What I'm against is the ideology of Trump, the lifting him up holier than thou, those putting him on a pedestal with angels around him. That you can't have that. You can't be idolatry about it.
Yeah.
So
I think he even rebuked that when I remember one of his videos, he says, don't consider me as whatever, I forget the term, but he actually just looked up to heaven, so he did. I got to give him credit for that one video there.
Yeah, so. And in another place he said, I am the Prince of Israel. All right. Yeah. He admitted he took on the claim, oh yeah, I'm Cyrus. Right. He basically plays both sides.
Could he just be setting up the enemy, the Zionists?
I know you think that he's doing a psyop on them, but
possibly. I'm not
I don't think so.
Positively, but it could be a possibility. Some have suggested that. So he's keeping his enemies closer. Yeah, the Zionists.
Well, we do the Zionists. See, this is I don't want to get into that, but he was following the advice of Zionists, so I'm not going
to deceive them.
And he would
set them up.
He allowed them to put them on a coin. He allowed them to get their jurisdiction. Yeah. He agreed with their Talmud. He agreed with their what was it? The Sanhedrin Noahide laws. No, I don't think he's playing it. I think he's actually obligated to them. So I'm sorry, I see it that way, but
I don't see him though as like a blood sacrificing, child molesting,
no, I'm not saying
blood drinking,
cultist,
Satan worshiper. Right. I don't see that. No,
I'm not saying
that's what they are though. That's what his,
the
that's what they would
say.
Yeah, well, the ones that he's supposedly siding with.
Oh yeah. Well, they might be, but he may not. He may be naive to what they're doing, but he lifted them up. He lifted the Sanhedrin up and all this. So
I don't. Be just a big plan. There's several decade plan.
I don't buy that.
Possible. That's all.
Yeah, I don't buy it. But we do feel obligated that we are to participate. And the reason why people make you feel guilty if you don't have a right to complain. Okay, well, if you get in a guy and he ends up to be the Antichrist, or he ends up to be going against all the things he said he would, should we blame you and say, oh, you voted for this guy, you don't have a right to criticize him, right? It's the same thing. What did a famous philosopher say? Neil Peart of Rush. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. So if I don't want to choose either of these guys, I'll still make a choice.
Yeah, a lack of response is a consent, like in law, for instance, or like yeah.
But I mean, we feel obligated. And the reason we got to remember what politics is. I'll get into this in a little bit, but what we do is we choose a side. And the reason we choose a side is because we choose one that's more likely siding with our ideology. And as much as you tell people, and as much as they know that there's a fake left-right paradigm, Democrats and Republicans are both under the same oligarchy, and many people will admit that. Michael Savage even admit that. But then they'll go on and play the side of dividing the two and acting like the Republicans are better. And even though we know that's not the case, we still follow along with this script because we're used to making a statement. If anything, it's a statement. So what basically politics exists as is a statement to cater to our sides, to see where we would tolerate and what we would yield to and see where we're at. It's not so much we're voting a person in. We're basically putting up our petition. We're throwing our choice into a hat. That's basically what it is.
Right. Well, what I'm seeing in the past several years is not a battle between Democrat and Republican, but between good and evil. Overall, collectively, from a big vantage point, like we're seeing all these just throw it, out of the air, like these Hollywood celebrities, their homes are being put up for sale because they were into human trafficking. You can check it out online. There's actually I don't know how many, what do you call those things? Sealed indictments that have been unsealed. You can see it online. There's how many people actually have been brought to justice so far. So, like I said, they're not. It's not a matter of Republican or Democrat. It's good versus evil. These people are being rounded up. I'm just being honest with you. It's these are facts that anybody can look up. Dom's deep underground military bases. I've seen actual photographs of, you know, seismic activity all over the earth at the exact same frequency, and you know, just they weren't seismic earthquakes, by the way. So I'm just seeing. I mean, there's many, many more. So, but I don't know. I'm just throwing some thoughts at it.
We'll see.
Mhm.
You know, people have to decide what
Mhm.
they're seeing and what they believe.